Hey guys, happy Monday. Welcome back for another vlog for Mental Health Monday. Hope you guys have had an awesome week so far. Awesome day. It is in the evening. I normally don't vlog in the evening. I feel like I vlogged the other day. But it's like after sunset, almost sunset, and it feels nice. It's been a long day. I've been helping a lot of people today, counseling. If you don't know, my name is Shamanda Burston. I am a licensed clinical addiction specialist and a professional mental health counselor. I have treated, diagnosed, served in some capacity of mental health for over a decade, and it has been interesting, I will say. So I think I'm at a point where I want to educate and teach people the things that I know and the things that people wouldn't get or understand if they didn't attend or have therapy. And the reality is, everyone isn't going to have therapy. Everyone isn't going to be able to afford it or have access to it due to health insurance, whatever the reason is. So my goal is to bring it to you guys via YouTube. I know a lot of people use YouTube, they use social media and things of that sort. So if that's the case, I want to be able to utilize this platform to bring to you guys mental health awareness and educate you on mental health and addiction, which is very interesting as well. So today I promised you guys I would talk to you guys about codependency, and it took me forever to really understand exactly what that looked like. Now, I saw the traits, I saw how it manifested itself in lives of my clients, but also my own self and people I know. Once I finally really understood the definition of codependency, everything made sense. Like, it made sense. It made sense in my life, and it made sense in my clients' lives. And so I want to start out by defining what codependency is. And first, codependency, to define it is kind of challenging because there's so many different definitions for it. I like to say it's basically trying to control people's lives because they're sick or they need help. And so if you're a certain type of person, very nurturing and sheltering, enabling, which is another clinical word, but if that's just naturally who you are, you're a helper, then you tend to gravitate toward people who need help, who always are kind of struggling with something, and so you will give the apps everything to save them from themselves too. So that's just like in layman's terms. I like to give the definition of, like, if you have someone who struggles with alcoholism, you're going to be the person who is like, you know what, no, you're not going, you know what, I'll drive, I'll take you where you need to go. Like, you're trying to save them from themselves. Or let's say, I saw this growing up in my own life, my own family system. My aunt, my beloved aunt, passed away in 2014 from liver cancer after years of alcoholism, and she was 17 years sober when she passed away. But I remember as a little girl, being like a little toddler, I remember her. She would have these moments, these tantrums, and it would be like 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, everybody would be woken up in the house, my grandparents' house. She would come in, she would be drunk, she'd be like, y'all don't love me. Because she would ask my grandparents for some money to go back and get some more liquor. She'd run out of money. She'd come back 2 o'clock in the morning, and she'd be like, y'all don't love me. You know, she'd pack up her bag. It's like, I'm leaving, y'all don't love me. So for my grandparents to give her that money, that's enabling. That's the codependency thing. It's like, let me give you what you need so you don't run away, or so you don't feel like we don't love you, or things like that. It's like, it's to the detriment of that person that you are trying to help, because you're adding on and you're fulfilling a negative need of theirs, like something that's not healthy for them. So because you're trying to save them, you're trying to protect them and nurture them and shelter them. It's hard to define because it looks so different, because it shows up in mental illness as well, right? um, it's it's the, I guess, if you, let's say you had a parent that has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, um, instead of telling them that, you need to go get some help to learn how to cope with the changes in your mood. It's pacifying them, and it's gonna be okay. Or I can't use that. I can't even give you a good example with that one because it's so challenging. But let me give you this real quick. So I was studying this book, and because I work in an addictions treatment facility right now with women, and I stumbled along this book, and I had to read it so that I could help my clients out with this. And I was like, this book is so amazing. It's called Codependent No More. How to stop controlling others and start caring for yourself. And that's the most important piece. And this book is by Melody Beatty. I think that's how you say her name. It's published by Hazelden Publishing, which is where we get a lot of our literature in terms of studying addiction, things of that sort. But I really wanted to define it, and so I love the definition that she gives in this book, right? She's actually a recovering alcoholic, and I think she was married to someone who struggled with alcoholism. So she got it from both sides. She was a codependent, but she had also experienced what it was like to have someone who's codependent with her, right? So she defines it as, let me fix my camera. A codependent person is one who has let another person's behavior affect him or her, and who is obsessed with controlling that person's behavior, right? So let's say, for example, I know that I struggled with codependency, and I still do. And it's something I had to unlearn, and I love this book. I will forever be grateful for this book because it helped me see things that I didn't even realize for a long time. I think growing up and being raised as a single mom, or by a single mom, and my mom having to try to raise my two brothers by herself, and she was working, and plus she was young and she wanted to still live her life, because and I guess just my natural personality, she would always tell me stuff that I didn't necessarily need to know. I definitely didn't need to know. Let me not even pacify to minimize it. I didn't need to know. I was too young. I didn't need the weight of knowing that stuff yet, because it kind of made me and forced me to grow up too early and it's almost like I was like this young child, but I was an adult with an adult mind. So it was like I was forced to grow up really fast and be mature and basically take on like a co-parent role with her. So I was like basically parenting my brothers when she wasn't around. And it was almost like she never asked me to do this, but it was like because I saw her struggling, because I saw her trying to still live a life and be young and enjoy her freedom, whatever it was, I stepped into that role because I felt it's like I knew she needed help. So I automatically was like, let me do this. Let me try to make her happy. Let me try to lessen the load for her. But I wasn't thinking about me and like, no, Shamanda, you're just a little girl. You're a child. It's not your job to do this and take care of people. What are you doing? And so I saw how that shows up still in my life now. And there are certain things in this book she talks about, things that we have to implement if you're a codependent. You have to learn detachment, meaning if I have a friend, and I've had this happen to me, if I have people in my life who like, I really need some help right now, can you help me out with this? And I might have every resource possible for them, but let's say if it's money, right, for example, and I say I want to save $10,000 by the end of the year, whatever, and someone comes to me and says, hey, I need help with this, can you help me with this, whatever, financially, instead of me saying, well, I can't really help you right now because I have a goal set and I don't want to mess my goal up, this is very important to me, instead of saying that, I would be like, yeah, okay, well, I'll help you out, whatever. And then that creates resentment because I know that now my goal is set back because I helped somebody because I didn't want to say no. And the codependent person struggles with saying no. They're a people pleaser. They want to help other people to the detriment of themselves. We will put ourselves in a negative space just so somebody else don't feel uncomfortable. Like, you know, I remember it shows up in jobs too, because I've had situations where it's like my supervisor would be like, is everything okay, or is this working out for you? And I could be so miserable or overworked, or it was just too much on my plate, and instead of me saying, yeah, I really need some time, or I need help with this, I would just like, no, I got it, it's good, just because I might notice that they're short staffed, or I'm the only one that's trained to do that. And so it will, if I said no, or if I said yes, I need help, then one of my coworkers might get pulled in to do it, and then they're already overworked. You know what I'm saying? So we will shoulder the burden and the weight of something instead of saying, hey, I need help, or instead of saying, no, I can't do this. We'll take it on, because that's what we felt. We've been conditioned to believe that that's love, or that's how you show your love. And it creates a sense of resentment, because you start to really resent people. You're like, you know what, if you really cared about me, you wouldn't even have asked me to do this. You knew how important this was to me, or I couldn't do that, and we have this silent expectation. I talk about that a lot. This silent expectation that people will know what we need, but we never voice it, we never verbalize it, we never say, hey, I need this from you. Can you help me? Like, let's say if, because that's what would happen to me when I was younger too, in my early 20s. I would be in situations. I mean, I was a single mom, right? So obviously there were times where I would need help financially, but it's like I would never reach out for help, because I'm like, well, my family is struggling more than me, like just as much as me, or if not worse. So I can't reach out to them, because I'm like, well, if I'm sending them a text asking for $20 for some gas, they're sending me a text asking for $5. You know what I'm saying? So it became a situation where I just stopped. I never even reached out for help, because I knew that they needed help, but I still needed to be able to say that, or feel like I could ask for help, or just being able to do that. Just the act alone of just sending a text or making a phone call and saying, hey, can I have help? Can I have $20? Can you help me with this? Just being able to do that would have made such a difference in my life. So those are some examples. It definitely shows up, like I said, in addiction. There's a movie that I watched with some of the clients that I work with now. My coworkers and I, we showed it today and a couple weeks ago. It's called Beautiful Boy. I think the father in that movie is a perfect example of codependent and the enabling piece. Now, obviously, there's this boundary, this borderline of like, how do you protect yourself as a codependent, but also not come off as like very stoic or unloving, or like you just don't care. And that's practicing the skill of detachment. And that was, when I read that, I was like, this is it. This is the skill that I can utilize on a daily basis that will help me. Because, for example, if someone says, hey, I need help, I'm in a bad space, oh my God, for me, it's like stating, I can't help you right now, I have this that I'm working on, or whatever, and then letting it go. That's it. No more pondering it, wondering if they're going to be okay, wondering if they're sleeping outside at night since you didn't give them the money, or like detaching from the thoughts, detaching from the rumination of wondering if they're okay. The reality is they're not thinking about you. Like, literally, right? Think about it. They're not, you're sitting up losing sleep, worried about them, and if they're okay, and if they have what they need. But 9 times out of 10, they're not thinking if you're okay. It's not reciprocated. It's not that they don't love you or whatever. It's just that they don't have that issue for the most part. Most people, they're so used to being on the receiving side of codependent. They don't have that issue. They're used to taking. They're used to taking. So detaching from that. That's one of the best skills I could ever recommend if you're struggle with codependency, if you can relate to what I just was sharing, the examples, detach. Practice detachment, meaning, like I said, once you say no, let your no mean no, and then let it go. I like that. Okay, don't steal that. But seriously, once you say no, let your no mean no, and then let it go. Let it go. Move on to something else. Focus your mind on something else. What I've been doing lately is practicing or doing meditation, because if my mind, like, probably when I'm getting ready to go to sleep, all those thoughts will come back to me. I'm like, dang, I did say no, or I didn't check on this person today. I wonder if they're okay, and all that. I'm like, you know what? No, this is my time. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to meditate on wealth or abundance, whatever, positive affirmation, something about me, pouring back into me, and not using that time to ruminate, which means like just kind of really overly focus on something, racing thoughts on a specific thing or topic or person, not allowing my thoughts to ruminate, but instead redirecting that energy back to me. Because being a codependent, oh my God, it's so draining. And people don't know because you don't tell them. Think about it. Like, you're trying to save them, so you don't tell them that they're hurting you, they're draining you. Like, you never even think to do that, because that's just not who you are. You are the helper. And I think a lot of counselors, I think a lot of people in the helping profession, because that's naturally who we are, we don't even realize that we have those traits. We're drawn to those type of fields. So I know for me, I know I am at my end in terms of providing direct care, meaning like doing the one that's providing the service, being the one that's providing the service. I can teach other counselors. I can teach and educate via media, interviews, vlogs. But as far as doing direct care, I'm literally on this is probably like my last year. Like, literally, because now that I am very much more well aware of codependency, I'm like, yeah, that's what probably drew me into this field. And I'm a perfect person to do it. I love the work, and I do great work. I have had amazing success stories, and I will forever be grateful for this field, for this work, and I will always work in this field in some capacity. But I know that now, having that understanding of it, I can't, because it's like I'm still doing it. I'm still trying to save people. And at the end of the day, we can't save people. People have to save themselves. And guess what? Only God, or whoever your higher power is, only God can save somebody. Oh, I thought I had what? Only, only God can do that. There's this like God complex. Like, no. God works. I think He works through people. I think He blesses people through people, right? But I feel that sometimes we take it overboard and we're like, I could have saved them. I never forget. And this is a perfect example, and I'll end this. But I had just did a training on, or recertified on CPR. It might have been my first class. I don't think it was my first one, but it was probably like my third or fourth, maybe second course on CPR. And this is about 5 years. Let's say it's about 2011, I think. I never ever forget this. But I had just done a training on CPR, and my neighbor, he was an amazing guy. He was so sweet. He would always check on me and my children, make sure we got in the house safe. That kind of thing. He lived under me. And I never forget, like, my children they were small then. I want to say they're like 5 or 6, maybe 4 or 5 probably. But they were like running around the apartment, and his mom came upstairs one day and she was like, he just had heart surgery. Y'all keep it down there. I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. My children were small, so they're just walking like they're kids. So, it's my children. So anyway, I wasn't upset about that. I just, I was shocked. I didn't even know he had surgery on his heart or whatever. So I saw him maybe a couple weeks later, and he was fine. But I had always noticed that him and this female that lived like down the thing, they were dating or whatever, but they would always argue all the time. So I was kind of like, listen, lady, almost kind of like, hold up now. Now, they be out here arguing, making all this noise all the time at night. So, first of all, but, I was like, whatever. But anyway, it was just something about the way that they argued all the time and him having a bad heart. I was like, this is not good. And, I was just like, this is not good. Something just in my spirit was like, this is not good. So anyway, I never forget. I came out on my balcony one day. I don't even know where I was at. I don't know. I came out on my balcony and I saw the ambulance and I saw him laying on the ground. And I was like, wait, what happened? What's going on? And turns out he had an heart attack. He was laying out there. He was still alive, but he was like, breathing real shallow and stuff. Things just weren't looking good. He was dying in that moment. So I never forget thinking like, hey, had I just walked out my apartment earlier, or like just stepped out 30 minutes early and just kind of just looked out the window or something, I felt like I could have saved him because I had just learned CPR. And I was like, man, I wish I would have came outside early. So that stuck with me for years. I felt like I could have saved his life. Like, I was so hurt by that. Like, but that's another example of that codependent thinking. Like, no, that was just his time to go. And you can't blame yourself. You can't think that you're a superhero, superwoman, that you can save people all the time. You gotta take care of yourself. At the end of the day, there was nothing you could have done. It was not your time. It was his time. It was not meant for you to be outside. It wasn't meant for you to save him or do CPR on him, whatever. Who's to say even if you did CPR, if it would have worked? He had a bad heart and he was arguing with that lady all the time. So I'm pretty sure that had something to do with it. I think another part, I was like, I wish I would have talked to him and would have been more like, listen, y'all, you might want to let that go or whatever. But then again, it's like, no, you can't tell people what to do. I think I was either I had just graduated with my bachelor's and was starting my master's that fall or something like that. So it was some years ago. But like I said, I held on to that for a long time. But that's another example of that codependent thinking. Like, you can save people or you can control stuff. And practicing detachment has really been so freeing for me. I would say the last couple weeks I've really been practicing that. And I noticed a difference. Like, my stress levels are down. I think more clearly. I can focus more on my goals and everything. I'm not thinking about everybody around me, like what they got going on or if they need help or what I gotta do to help them. Like, my mind is focused on me, and it's so challenging and different for me because I'm so used to taking care of people. And I'm like, you know what? Really, the only people I'm supposed to take care of is my children and then the clients that I'm paid to work with, like literally. And until I get married, but once I get married, yeah, my husband is I have a duty to him. But at the end of the day, you can only do for people so much, but you have to empower them to take care of themselves and do what they need to do for themselves, and know that you can't control their behaviors. So I hope that gave you an idea of what codependency is. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I'm still learning more about it because it's like there's no real set definition for it, but that's a good idea. I definitely recommend that book. This has been life changing for me. Codependent No More. It's getting dark out here. Codependent No More. How to stop controlling others and start taking care of yourself. Oh, I love it. Alright, guys. Happy Mental Health Monday. And I love this. So, yeah. Share this with someone that you know who struggles with codependency. And I will see you guys next time. Happy Monday.